Sean in the background real quick, and then we can do our...
Bring it up, bring it up, bring it up, bring it up.
What's up, everybody? It's Monday. And you know what that means? Wait, wrong speech. Wrong intro.
Yeah.
First of all, guys, thank you for everyone who is going to be joining us live and everyone who joins us for the replay squad, because this is Figure Reaction. That's right, where we don't talk about a whole lot of things. Instead, we just focus on one thing. In this case, one person. And if you are a fan of toy photography, which, as you guys know, I am, you are absolutely in for a treat tonight. Mike, tell them who we got tonight.
I will. But before we get to our guests, I just want to remind everyone.
You're on mute.
I am? Am I on mute? Hello?
You were for a second.
Oh, I was? Okay, maybe I was stuttering for a second. But I do want to say before we start, we are at 913 subscribers. Well, moving forward with our 1K goal for 2026. If you like content like this, as well as our Thursday show, please give us a chance, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, and join us on the chats. We greatly appreciate it. Because, as Dave was saying, we have a special guest tonight, and it's something that we both have an affinity for. So without further ado, let's bring on our guest. Dave, you want to hit the, or announce who we have, and I'll bring him on?
Oh, sorry. I brought him up here. We've got, on Instagram, I swear, guys, we know what we're doing.
We're professionals.
If you are a fan of on Instagram, visual_approach photo, Mr. Sean Kenary. I did not put two and two together about who this guy is and his art, because I've actually been seeing his stuff through a lot of Facebook groups for quite some time. And then I know I was turned on to his work when he was mentioned on, was it Shooting the Shelf?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And that really brought your stuff to my attention. And I'm like, okay, this is that guy. And then Mike mentioned, by the way, this guy does this stuff too, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And I'm like, my mind was blown. So it's really an absolute pleasure. I'm going to say it. It's an honor, because I have actually been following your stuff for quite some time. And it's great to have you with us here, and great to be able to talk to you, because I'm stuttering now.
Thank you. It's an honor to be on the show, talk to you guys, chop it up. Looking forward to it.
Excellent. Well, for those that are fans of our Figure Reaction, we kind of have a little slideshow, because I hate scrolling through web screens. It's distracting. So we curated some of your art over the years, and we'll talk about it. So let me go ahead and bring up the screen.
And of course, for those of you watching live in the chat, please make sure to say hi in the chat room. If you bring us some cool questions, we'll make sure we highlight them, and we'll be forwarding those to Sean as well. This is an absolute, well, we like to keep things on the rails. This is absolutely a community show. So you guys are part of the community. Come on in.
Absolutely.
Say hi. Hit that like button.
You will, once Mike actually gets his hands.
Sean, I don't know if you caught the intro, but like I said, I'm a big fan of photography. All those pictures on the intro were what I shot, just to give it a night.
Oh, awesome. Yeah,
not to toot my own horn, but to totally toot my own horn.
Sorry, my system decides to take a powder real quick.
Yeah, it's the most fun you can have with action figures. Throw them in front of the camera. Tell a story.
Yeah,
can't beat it. Cannot beat it.
Yes. Okay. Can you guys see our little display here?
I can.
We absolutely can.
Awesome. All right. Well, as we said, this is our evening with you, man. So I think first thing we want to do is learn more about you, Sean. So can you give us a bit of history as a collector and everything else?
So, I mean, I've been collecting, really what got me, everyone plays with toys and collects as a kid. I have very fond memories of Bradley's and Caldors and figure hunting and all of that fun stuff as a kid. Obviously, G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, Masters of the Universe, Transformers, Star Wars, all of that stuff. Thundercats was huge. Voltron was huge. Never got my hands on all 5 Lions, but I was a fan. And then as I got a little bit older, I got my first job right out of in high school. But then right as I graduated in the very late 90s, that's when Hasbro was doing like Power of the Force, or Kenner was doing Power of the Force stuff. And so any income I had went to Toys R Us. I picked up everything. They were all, recast original molds, didn't matter. I needed to have it. It didn't really help me with the ladies, but it was still fulfilling. So I'll tell this story quickly. So I think I was probably 20, and I was probably a couple months away from moving out of my parents' house and renting a house with my buddy. And but I still had all of my stuff up in my bedroom. And I remember showing it to my girlfriend at the time. And there's a scene in Ace Ventura 2 when he walks into the room and he sees all the animal heads on the wall. And he completely freaks out. And he says, "This is a lovely room of death." That is basically the reaction that she had when she saw it. And that was certainly the end of our relationship. But it did not deter me from collecting.
Women come and go. Plastic lasts forever.
That's right. I was able to compartmentalize it until I was able to meet my beautiful wife, and trick her into this madness. But the collecting has always been there. And as I was getting older and this stuff was starting to kind of fill the shelves, I was looking for a way to enjoy it. And when I was in high school, I worked as an airbrush artist doing murals at bowling alleys or laser tag, stuff like that. And so I always had kind of a desire to do things that were creative. And so I had all these toys, and my wife's sister gave us a camera, and I was like, all right. I started taking pictures of the action figures, and then I was on Instagram. I was going to post some pictures of my collection, and I came across Work More or Less, the Imperial Grunt, Sergeant Bananas, and I was like, holy shit, what is going on here? Like, what? Like, the toys were now able to be used in these scenes where they looked like they were on a movie set. Mm-hmm. The figures were articulated. They had beautiful paint, accessories, and they looked like they could help fill the scene. So I was so intrigued by it. I immediately started putting figures in front of my television in the basement and photographing them. And the results were, of course, terrible. But I was obsessed by the results, and what I thought I could achieve. So I started taking online courses for photography. I went through this app, Creative Live, and I was buying courses in photography and editing and Lightroom, and how to manage the exposure and the aperture and all this. I wanted to learn as much as I was fucking obsessed. And I was posting 2-3 times a day back in 2019. I mean, I was just obsessed with it. And I didn't care if anybody saw them. I mean, it's still technically don't. It's for me, it's my outlet. But anyway, it's just kind of taken on a life of its own from there. But it's really just me wanting to improve my own outcomes and take the best photo that I can take, and tell the best story that I can tell, and be as technically proficient as I can. I mean, that's what makes the hobby so great.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I mean,
so you said one thing that was kind of interesting, and something I've kind of done as well. And I think, I won't speak for Dave and his experience, but like you said, it was something that you sought out and you just started consuming course after course. I mean, there was, like you said, there was different courses that you took. I mean, I looked at stuff on YouTube, and just I think the main thing that is like look at some of these names that you mentioned, some of these great photographers, is really just reaching out and asking them like, how did how did you get this shot?
Yeah.
So,
I didn't want to kind of skip the process. I wanted to know, like, you know, just some baseline stuff. How could I start unlocking some of these, you know, leapfrogging some of these gates to obtain some knowledge? And they were all very gracious. They answered my questions. They weren't annoyed with the fact that this guy that has no following and a absolutely, my outcomes were just not good. They didn't care. They wanted to talk about it as much as I wanted to talk about it. And they loved the fact that there was somebody that was interested in their work to talk to. And so I've tried to carry that forward. I will answer anyone's question about anything. I will show you the layers that I use. I'll tell you what opacity I use for solid color adjustment layer, what blend mode I use for whatever. Our outcomes will still be different. You'll still take a different photo, even if we set up the same photo. So I'm happy to pay it forward because they were so gracious in sharing their knowledge with me. It unlocked so many different skills and ideas. So yeah, it was awesome.
And the more people who do it, or the more people they'll buy more, it's better for the hobby. The more people who do it, the more people who will want exposure to new things and to try other things, and that inspires more people. Yeah,
and it I work in I work in customer service at a law firm. I'm an operations manager in legal. So I have teams of people. I'm their manager, but I think I feel like I work for them. My job is to support them and make sure that they have all the information they need to do their jobs. And I love them and I love the work that I do. And it's the same with photography. I don't feel like it's my information to hold on to. It's my information to share. And if somebody can learn something from my rambling about how much I love photography and shooting toys, then I'm gonna share it with them. And it gives me an opportunity to talk to somebody about it. Cause you know, I have real life friends that I've been friends with for an eternity now, but their eyes go cross when I start talking to them about action figure photography. They're like, what the fuck? Shut up. Like, why is your basement full of toys?
Yep.
And you want to explain to them, oh, I just got the new Battle Damage T800 2.0. Look at, you know, he's got articulated eyes and all this stuff. And they're just like, what? They can't see it. It doesn't make sense to them. It's like these details that we kind of take for granted. Oh, it's got a butterfly joint, pinless elbows. They're like, what is happening? So the more people the more people I connect with online, the more of those conversations I can have and the more fulfilling it is with the hobby. So it's like, I'll talk to anyone at any time. Can you tell I don't know how to shut up? So
no, this is absolutely great. So as a collector, I mean, you mentioned before, like, you know, growing up, Power of the Primes and, you know, or Power of the Force, excuse me. I'm looking at Transformers over here and Age of the Primes. But, you know, a lot of the stuff we saw or I've seen on your Instagram page, especially some stuff like when you were, again, teaching yourself composition, lighting and stuff. There's a lot of sideshow, you know, hot toys and stuff. What brands do you generally really focus on? Not just as a photographer, but as a collector.
I'm looking around the room to try to. So it all started with Star Wars. I have my firstborn son's name is Luke. It's probably shaped my photography style. I think if you look at a lot of the things that I shoot, the way it's composed, the way it's lit is, you know, I've got the original trilogies playing in my brain all the time. I have a big affinity for, I mean, I collect Star Wars 1/6 scale. I collect Batman 1/6 scale. I have Storm Collectibles Mortal Kombat. I have Mythic Legions. I have Mezco. There's a lot of Mezco stuff that I love. I love the Mezco G.I. Joe stuff, the Predator, Conan, all the Batman stuff.
I'm with you. I'm right there with you, except for the Hot Toys. I'm with you with all that.
I have some NECA aliens, which are purely for photography's sake, but thanks to Collector's Orbit, I'll never photograph them. I have some import stuff. I got a lot of classified, a lot of Valaverse, and yeah, basically Star Wars, G.I. Joe, Mythic Legions, all that stuff. It's eclectic because sometimes I'd buy something because I think I have an idea to photograph it. Or Henrock will not stop shooting the Hush Batman by Gong Studios, so I go out and I buy it. Stuff like that.
So basically, in craziness like us, because I do the same thing, and like I was saying on backstage, I need to purge some of it because again, the ideas that come up, then you start like, well, I need to break this down and do some diorama stuff. It all builds upon each other.
Well, my wife is a perfect person because I've completely taken over the basement. It is it's just a monolith to toy collecting. But I've also taken over the garage.
That's when we get in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, I've kind of our treadmill is kind of now tucked in the corner. I've actually got the rattler on it right now. I need a place to put it.
That's awesome.
But I've also taken over the garage. The garage is where I built Castle Grayskull and the hangar diorama, and it's where I make a giant mess when I photograph stuff. I got lighting all over the flipping place in there, and she is supportive of it, and it's what enables it, and allows me to have this outlet, and it's and be satisfied with it. I don't feel hamstrung by it at all. She's been unbelievable. It's been great.
You ever first of all, it's awesome when you have that supportive spouse. As someone fortunate enough, like I said, I'm allowed. My basement is my toy zone, but I also just said, if it ever creeps past the basement, that's when I get the get back down there, back down to your dungeon.
or when the UPS person,
just for the sake of knowing you can get good photos out of it.
Yeah, but you know what happens is if I buy something that's a one-off and I think I'm going to get a great photo with it, I oftentimes that will just sit on a list. I have a list of photo ideas. Like I have the Marvel Legends Danny Ketch Ghost Rider over here. I thought I would shoot that, haven't shot it. I've got I've got the Mafex Dark Knight Returns Batman and Robin set, haven't shot it. I do buy stuff that I think is cool purely for photography, and then it just kind of hangs around.
Just curious, making sure I'm not alone in that logic.
Yeah.
No, but I can definitely understand that whole, like, there's things that like you want to ever get to, but then something really cool comes and hits you straight in the face. You're like, all right, I gotta take this photo. But that's kind of
I go back to stormtroopers every 20 minutes. I mean, I could shoot a stormtrooper every day. I could shoot Batman every day, and that's
look at Han Solo.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like it's a comfort food. It's like an old sweatshirt. I have an infinite number of ideas for those two characters, and again, I'm doing it for me in large part. So that's if it's going to be fun, then that's what it's going to be. Usually, if I post a stormtrooper picture, you could it's the most fun I've had probably photographing a dude in a bucket. It's really, I love them. They're the best character design I can think of.
That just took care of one of my questions I was going to ask in about 45 minutes. So.
Cool.
What is your go-to figure? Stormtrooper. Got it.
Yep.
Well, that's something we want to say as well for those that are watching live and also on the replay squad. If there's any questions that you have for Sean or anything at all, please put them in the chat. We'll do a Q&A later on. If there's things that come up in the replay squad, we'll reach out to you, Sean, maybe get an answer and put that back in then. Again, it's all about engagement and enjoying what we do. And with that, as you continue on here with your expertise and refining your art, and again, I picked some prime examples for this one here. How would you describe your visual style?
I've had it described to me as cinematic.
Okay.
I could agree with that.
Yeah, and I guess that is fair, I think. I definitely try to make the figure appear larger than life. So I would say that the cinematic probably does probably encapsulates it.
Okay.
More or less, yeah.
I like that that statement. Again, cinematic. I look at your stuff and I can definitely say that every photo has a story behind it, and that's your composition, that's your visual cue, but it definitely resonates. Like again, the Bad Batch photo here in the bottom corner. I love the look of that. Not only the fact that it's one of the cooler groups that I got from the Clone Wars and stuff, but it's just the style. I mean, it definitely, no matter whatever way you would describe it, I can either be right there with you, or I see my own tale come out just by looking at it. And
I was gonna say, when I was looking at your photos, I feel like something was happening before this photo was taken, and something is happening after this photo was taken. This is just literally a snapshot of something bigger going on.
Yeah, it's a moment in time, and it's just a slice of a larger reel for sure.
Yes, and I chose specifically the earlier photo of the stormtroopers that have been in the fight for a while. I loved the simplistic look of this because it's very it's on different levels. It's very intense, but it's one of those moments where, like, all right, there's a silent moment in the battle. Like there's no blasters going off, there's nothing flying over the sky, and these two troopers are just taking a breath before going back into the fray. I mean, there's so many different ways you can look at this one photo, and that's what I like about your art form.
It's a moment of respite. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember digging this hole on the side of the house. It was raining, and putting the troopers in. I went through a phase where it was all of these, like, they were, I don't want to say they were just standing around, but there was kind of like between battles, between waves, where it was like kind of like downtime, post battle or pre-battle type stuff.
Now, one thing I forgot to ask earlier when you're talking about your resume of this, obviously you had started collecting all this stuff, as you said, like 2019, a little bit earlier. In fact, throughout your youth through today. Did when COVID hit, was that like a point where you really started to? Was that when the obsession with the photography really took I guess an advancement? I mean, how did you approach that?
It definitely accelerated because I was working half days in the office. So I was home by noon every day. And so I had an almost infinite amount of time for photography. And I think that was when probably toy photography was seeing its most expansive growth. And for me, that's when I learned the most, because I was shooting multiple photos a day. And I'm thinking in particular of the amount of times I photographed that Black Series General Grievous. I was obsessed with that figure because he could do a lot of stuff. He could do things convincingly at 1/12 scale. And I really liked what I was able to squeeze out of that figure. And so I definitely had a great time during COVID. I felt like that's when I had the most ideas for dioramas, for environments, and that's when I was absorbing the most content as far as learning how to position my lighting, how to like feather the light, adjust manipulate the camera, use bounce cards, which I was nagging Trevor on how he does that stuff with his bounce cards and his cinefoil and stuff. And he was kind enough to oblige because I was peering in his window. So yeah, definitely COVID was a springboard. I felt like when I was in, I don't want to say the rat race, but I had 2 kids in an after school program and that I had to rush and wanted to pick them up and spend time with them. But I also had this like gnawing in the back of my brain where I wanted to do photography. So COVID definitely helped me scratch that itch
Okay.
a ton.
So, before we move on to go along with that, during that time frame, how much experimentation did you have between, and I'll say in studio in your garage with that versus going out, say like your picture of the stormtroopers digging a ditch in your yard or whatever and putting them in? How was that experience?
I bought a pair of soft boxes on Groupon for like $30. And then I got 2 Lume Cube Airs off of, I got them as a pair. I think they were used or something on eBay. And once I started to get a lighting setup inside, once I had dioramas too, once I had a Ubiquitous Nova, once I made like a serviceable Mos Eisley diorama, which I think every toy photographer has probably made or attempted to make. Once I had some environments where I didn't need to go outside and put a Ninja Turtle in the tall grass, like I think everyone has done, I refer to it as toy photography puberty.
Okay.
Everyone eventually, because you want to do toy photography and you have the figure and you have the camera, but you don't have the environments and you don't have the lighting, so you always end up outside. You always end up throwing dirt at your figure because that's what others have done and get a great result. And that's something that's a low bar to clear. Anybody can do that. And then once I started gathering environments and some equipment, and it's a balance between still being a toy collector, but buying very expensive camera equipment. Once I had, again, environments and lighting, and I was able to bring the work inside. I was really happy with the Ubiquitous Nova and the results I was getting from that and being able to reconfigure that and some of the other dio pieces that I had. So that's when once I came inside, I more or less stayed inside unless I had an idea that required crackling fireballs, or I would always do an outdoor shot when I went on family vacation. I would sneak out to the beach early in the morning or late or like right at sunset and try to sneak in a shot on vacation. But for the most part now, I'm in the house.
One other question I had in regards to your style before we move on is, in your experience, what was a misconception that you had about toy photography, and now that as you've advanced in your skill set and people are asking you questions and stuff, what misconception do you have to correct someone in their assumption about toy photography?
I think some people have, I'm not necessarily a misconception, but I would say that some people have put the cart before the horse. I think that sometimes people flip the order of operation in terms of what you should learn. And it starts, you know, a lot of people ask me how I do special effects or how I do certain things in Photoshop or how I tweak the photo, but you know, they don't fundamentally know how to work their camera. They don't know how to position their lights. And what I always like to say, in my experience, based on my skill set, is that you can't rescue a bad photo in Photoshop. You have to take a good photo first, and then you can make it great or better. But if you can't take a good photo and manipulate your camera and have confidence in a working skill set, I don't give a shit how many embers you have floating through it. It's still a bad photo. So take a good photo first and then make it better by adding effects. But I don't think I touched Photoshop for the first 2 years that I was doing photography because I didn't have a computer that could run it.
Okay.
And right now I'm talking to you on my daughter's laptop. I don't have my own computer. I use Photoshop on her device when she's not doing schoolwork.
Okay.
They have desktop PCs in their rooms now, but I don't have a dedicated computer to Photoshop. I care more about the light coming into the camera. Photoshop's important at the back end, but it's a step and it's a rung on the ladder. It's not the whole thing. I see some people, they take a photo and the raw photo looks, it's Robert Day, 97 parsecs. He'll take a photo and he'll show you the raw photo and it looks nothing like the final product.
Yeah.
And I love Robert. He's extremely talented. My brain can't do that. My brain can't take that photo and see 6 steps through the editing process what it's going to look like when he brings up the clarity and changes the whites and stuff like that. So I need to try to get as much of it in camera as possible. I know it's a good photo when I'm excited about the way it looks in the viewfinder.
So with that, that's just a good segue then. I mean, you're touching up. So we got one question from one of our audiences. How much true touching up would you say you're doing post-production, whether in Photoshop, Lightroom?
So I'll tell you very quickly the whole process. I imported into Lightroom. I moved some sliders. I moved the clarity slider. I adjust the blacks. I very rarely have to touch the exposure or the contrast. I don't do any color grading at the first when it's first imported. It's usually just clarity, blacks, shadows, and maybe a 0.05 bump, like a tiny amount of exposure. And then into Photoshop, where I start with a solid color adjustment layer to help kind of bring all of the foreground and the background together. I blend that. I do a levels layer so that I can help with the whites and the blacks. I do a curves layer where I just try to balance out some of the highlights and the shadows. And there's not much more than that. It's really just trying to polish off the photo that I got in the camera and bring out its best. Now, having said that, looking at this Bad Batch photo, I obviously added laser effects and muzzle flashes to the blasters. Those are overlays that I did. So just to answer this question too, while we're talking about this photo, so those are micro galaxy squadron vehicles in the background. So what I like to do, you'll see if anyone's seen my work or looks at the Star Wars stuff that I do, a lot of it is mixed scale. So I'll use 12 scale in the foreground and I'll put 18 scale or 3/4 scale directly behind it, so that and that will make it look like it's farther away because the scales are different. And then I'll put even smaller vehicles in the background to make the scene seem as large as I can make it on my shooting table. But I would just, the last thing I'll say about the way I compose mixed scale stuff is that I think it's important that it's all in focus, or as much of it's in focus as possible, because you get a greater sense of scale when you can see it all clearly. If it's bokeh out too much, and you kind of lose the scale mixing and that you're trying to achieve, in my opinion. So that photo is entirely practical, except for the muzzle flashes. Everything else is one exposure in the camera.
So then, in regards to spacing, you said the micro vehicles in the back. I mean, how much distance did you have from the foreground to the background?
So that ATTP is almost touching Hunter.
Huh.
It's almost touching him.
Wow.
And those Micro Galaxy Squadron Republic gunships are hanging right almost above them, behind them. They're just smaller. That's how I achieved that look.
That's awesome. Well, I guess that's kind of where we were leading into this in regards to what you were saying with composition is visual planning. And I did kind of split up your amazing Conan and Predator shot just to show how you achieve a lot of these poses through practical use.
I'm in love with that photo, by the way.
Okay, I'll tell you very quickly why I love this photo. Because I took this photo in like 40 minutes.
Oh my God.
I took this on like, I think it was a weekend in January, and I was tooling around with the two figures in the basement, and I knew like what I wanted to achieve. And when I have a clear idea, if it's achievable, I can usually get it fairly quickly, never this quickly. And I don't know if it's because, so once I crammed the giant wooden skewer up the Predator's ass, and I positioned Conan with the shield on him, it stopped the Predator from spinning. So they're leaning against each other and they're kind of holding each other up. Those rocks are from the backyard, which is great. The skulls are by Chef Toy RD, MJ, my buddy. The
skulls give them such a glow.
I put those freaking skulls in everything. I wanted it to look like Conan was willing to go over the edge of the cliff, as much as he wanted to push the Predator over. So once I got him, I drilled a hole in this lucite block that I have. I stuck the stick in it. I crammed the Predator on it. And then once they were posed and leaning together, it was just a matter of a key light on top, over Conan's right shoulder. And there's actually there's a bounce card in there somewhere, I think. And then baking soda for some snow. And we're off to the races.
First of all, I saw this one. I'm like, I need this comic. You know, we don't know how it's going to end, but I still want it anyway.
Great. Now, Mariana has a question here, but you said this was your fastest one in regards to like 40 minutes to take this shot. What's in? And you don't. I mean, I'm saying you time yourself with each shot, but like, how much in regards to planning do you take to set up the shot before you even make that first click on the shutter?
I usually, if I'm on a conference call at work, I'm usually jotting down ideas. So that's kind of where it starts. And then it kind of turns into like, do I have what I need to take the shot? Because I need to try to get as much in camera as possible. I'm not an accomplished compositor. So anyway, do I have the diorama? Do I have the figures? Do I have the accessories? All of that stuff. Sometimes I'll walk in with an idea and it doesn't work and I need to reconfigure the idea. And sometimes I'll leave a setup up in the garage for a day and a half and I'll come back to it. And then I'll be like, and then driving to work, it kind of hits you. Oh, I can do this. This is what I need to do. And then I'll go and I'll do it and I'll get it. Sometimes with Conan versus Predator, it happens lickety split because it's a fully coalesced idea. I know that I have everything to achieve the photo, and it gets done. I took a photo of I was at the gym, and on my way home, I was like, oh, I'm gonna do a photo of Boba Fett sitting on the couch with his feet up on the coffee table, and the coffee table is gonna be Han Solo and Carbonite, and I'm gonna put it in my Jabba's Palace diorama, and I'm going to have a Gamorrean guard walking in while he's eating out of a bag of pork rinds. I stopped on the way home at Hobby Lobby, and I picked up a 1/12 scale couch, and I came home and I shot the idea, and it took no time at all because I had a fully coalesced idea. I had a plan. I knew that I had everything that I needed. I bought the $12 thing that was missing. But then there's other times when you don't know, but you want to shoot something and you're kind of in there playing around. That's kind of what makes it fun too. You're trying to set up a photo and squeeze the most life out of these figures as you can. And sometimes you like the results, sometimes you don't. And sometimes you struggle more than others. There's some days I hate this hobby because I can't get the idea that I want. I took a photo of Luke cutting 1/18 scale ATST in half.
Yes.
I shot that thing 6 fucking times, and I just couldn't get something that I was satisfied with that was convincing. So I just kept shooting it until I got something that I was happy with. I couldn't get Luke posed in a convincing way, and then I didn't have a convincing way to edit the slash marks on it. But eventually I got something that I could just post and move on from. So it definitely varies.
All right. And then, like you said, you kind of jotting down ideas as they come to you. Do you kind of draw them out? Do you storyboard some of your ideas as well?
I do. I have them somewhere. I've definitely sketched out a couple of ideas because, I used to do, work as a freelance, doing the airbrush stuff. So I can scribble things on a paper. And it does help with, sometimes I'll draw a terrain with a ship and, just an arrow showing the direction I want it going in, or, the direction I want the sabers to be moving and stuff like that, just to help kind of storyboard it. So I don't forget it too. It's like sometimes the length of time between when the idea pops into my brain versus when I shoot it, I kind of need to write down as much of it as I can when it's fresh, so it doesn't get diluted or forgotten when I actually go to do it.
Okay. Now, with that, there are times where you do have limited time, and I want to kind of highlight the top right photo, because for those that don't know, you have actually been doing promotional photography for Valaverse since, I believe, Series 5.
Yep.
So what we have up here is one of those photos that you had on your Instagram where you were actually preparing the photos for the release of Series 5. With that, I'm assuming you had to go to Bobby's location to where the pros were. How does that plan come into place? Because if you have an idea of what you're shooting in regards, like he gives you an inventory list, or one of those to kind of go there.
It's usually a surprise. I'm closer with Bobby now. So me shooting Series 5 was my first trip to spend the day with Bobby and Mark at Valaverse. It was a day that I'll certainly not forget. It was awesome. But I didn't know what I was shooting, and it was the whole series. I mean, it ended up being like I had to shoot like 6 or 7 figures in one day, and I had to bring a lot of my equipment with me. Like I had to bring a ton of stuff with me, and I still do. Every time I go, I bring a lot of stuff. So you have to be efficient. You have to know your equipment, know what it's capable of, know your camera, have extra batteries, be able to charge stuff on the fly if you need to. But it's project management. It's knowing how to maximize Bobby's investment too, because he's paying me to do this, and I need to make sure that he gets the you know what he's paying for. It's my job to deliver on that, you know, on that promise. So yeah, it's a stressful thing. It is, because I'm an hour and a half away, and I typically take a PTO day because this is not my day job, and I drive out to his location, and I'm still monitoring emails, and trying to deliver the best product I can for him.
And I mean, for this, I'm assuming you had a day to take all these photos and and stuff.
8 to 5.
Okay.
How did you and Mr. Vala meet up? I mean, how did that start out?
I think through Instagram. We connected through Instagram. I mean, I'd certainly a fan of certainly his product. It's a great product. Awesome figures, and he was looking for someone to do photography for him, and realized that I was within striking distance, and I was willing to go out there. And it worked out. I mean, I think that it was just I don't know, manifest destiny maybe.
Cool.
Yes. So is that helped I guess expand your I guess I don't want to say, well, expand your brand. Have you been approached by other companies that do photography for them as well?
I've done stuff for Playmates. I've done I did the Godzilla Ninja Turtles crossover, and I did the Power Rangers Reignition stuff for them. And I'm going to be working on something in the near future also. And I certainly will be spending more time with Bobby, I'm sure.
Okay. Especially, you know, he put out a video of a product that we hopefully will see here in this year.
It's sick. It's sick.
Yes. Now, I do want to, Mariano, I did see your comment, but I do want to hold off on that one till we get to that point. But one thing you mentioned, Sean, is that lighting is key.
Yes.
So your approach to that, and I used one of the guys you mentioned earlier, I'm going to butcher Watu,
yep,
as inspiration, and I had to make Skeletor big, not because Mattel's releasing new figures, but this is a fucking amazing photo. All three of these are amazing.
Thank you.
So,
that freaking Skeletor figure is fucking awesome. By the way,
what is that?
It's the Mondo 1/6
yeah.
scale. It's the new version of the
those
Skeletor.
Mondos.
Yeah,
it's hard to believe they're owned, but that's Funko. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope Funko can keep the lights on so we can get those get all the other Motu stuff they've got in the pipeline.
Absolutely. So I've always when I was teaching myself this composition stuff, there was always a 3 light rule. Obviously, as you advance more, lighting lighting ways change. I mean, you mentioned light boards, atmospheric, sprays to kind of help diffuse some of that light. Can you walk us through quickly, like one of these photos here? Which one do you like the most, and how it came around? I know it's your favorite kid type of situation.
Yeah. So the Skeletor shot is actually me doing an impression of Eye of Watu.
Okay.
I think I mentioned that in the description of doing my best or perhaps worst impression of him. Because he did a Hordak photo. It was not dissimilar. Anyway, he's a super person and extremely talented. I would say that my favorite one, I would say, is probably that Praetorian Fury. I like that it can do that T-pose like nobody's business. It's got tons of presence.
Mhm.
I would say it's got more effects than I do typically like to use. The Batman photo just has the Carver Customs braziers and torches, so there's
Mhm.
no real effects work in there. Yeah, it's hard. You can't pick a favorite one. That's impossible. I love them all and I hate them all at the same time. I have a healthy level of self-loathing. It's wonderful.
It's a good opinion to have. With the Mondo Skeletor, you mentioned in the description that you lit him from his feet up.
Mhm.
With that, I mean that was your key light. What other lights did you use to kind of help build
There's
that depth?
one other. This is a two light setup, more or less.
Okay.
He's standing on an orange, or basically standing on an orange mini panel. And above him, I have a Zhiyun M60 RGB like light with an umbrella and a diffuser on it, kind of to put that turquoise light on the Castle Grayskull and
Mhm.
on his shoulders. And then maybe there's a bounce card in there somewhere. But it's basically a two light setup with some well, I mean, I probably have a softbox on also, just to help fill in some of the harsh shadows, just so that the room's not completely dark.
Okay.
But two mainly, mainly two lights.
Okay. It's just awesome.
It's
And
gorgeous. Utterly gorgeous.
Mariano, the green figure in that upper picture is the Valaverse Praetorian Fury. That was the DFW exclusive from last year. And I think that this also kind of helps, at least again, with the variety of figures that you've touched. It also shows your range in regards to, like, not only planning it but also showcasing these figures in a way that is just,
Yeah.
you
Oh
know,
yeah.
I
they're
think
living and breathing right there.
I think that I think that's what prepares me to go to Valaverse, to shoot on the fly, with time being of the essence.
Mhm.
I do try to approach every photo and character differently. I try not to keep shooting in the same environment with the same time of day, with the same lighting positions. I try to shoot every photo in a unique way based on what I'm trying to do. I try not to have a clearly defined process. And I think that's what helps me with any of the professional work I end up doing, is because I am able to be agile and change on the fly and use different techniques, because I've suffered in my garage immensely trying to take photos for so long. And again, I do think that the education part of it is helpful, because it requires, I have, again, a healthy level of self-loathing. I know that there's always room. It's continuous improvement. I'm competing against myself, and to light my photos better than my previous photos, and to have more cohesive storytelling than my previous photos. I'm in competition with my own creative output. So that's where I'm at.
So I'm going to ask, not only for myself but for anyone who is taking these photos, what is the first and most fundamental educational thing you can say right now about lighting?
Don't light your figures from the front, side, back, and top.
Okay.
You can definitely fill in with a bounce card to fill in shadows pointed at the figures, but I mean, if you want to create contrast and you don't want to wash it out, you want to bring out the great sculpt work in the figure and highlight its shape and make it appear like it's physically inhabiting that space, which it should be. I would say the lighting from, you know, top, side, or back. Sometimes with Skeletor from the feet up.
Yeah.
And understanding how your lights work, how light works in general, how it interacts with your camera sensor. The light, you know, feathering your lights, knowing how to position them so you can make them more intense or have them back off, you know, light feathering or fall off when you move the lights farther away, how it changes the look on the figure. Experiment. Don't let the computer solve these problems for you. That's not the hobby.
Okay. And lighting, like you said, you've mentioned different types of lights and stuff. I mean, for someone starting out, they could do something good with something as simple as like a desk lamp and, you know, bounce cards, which for those that don't know what that is, that's basically a white or a light shaded can be cardstock, it can be a sheet of paper
Foam
that
board.
What's that?
I use foam board from the hobby store because it's rigid.
Okay. And that basically reflects reflects that light coming from the opposite side and helps bring in that depth to the figure that you're trying to take the photo of, if I describe that accurately.
And sometimes you don't have to directly light the figure. You can point the light at the bounce card to soften or lower the amount of light that's hitting the figure. You don't have to directly light them. It's key. I still use 2 gooseneck lamps that I bought at Kmart before Kmart went out of business. I still use them. I have 2 Philips. No, they're Govee. I think they're Govee lights that I got at Batteries Plus. Bluetooth. I control them with my phone. I change the color. And I have these mail tubes that I stick over them for snoots. Everyone is always making a joke in the comments that I have all these paper towel rolls and stuff that I'm using for snoots, because like you don't have to have the best equipment to get great results if you understand how it works and you care enough to learn about how to achieve good outcomes, better results, I guess.
Okay. Well, that kind of leads into this part of the interview, and that's, I've titled it Visual Effects, and I think we've kind of talked about it here and there, but definitely, with these 2 images, I want to ask, the approach, because one has the appearance of more, I guess, post-processing. How can you describe like the picture of the Mandalorian going through the going through and causing chaos versus the more atmospheric approach that you have here with the black?
So both photos are practical, one exposure. I'll start with the AT-AT is the Legacy 2005 AT-AT from Hasbro. The one in front of it, directly in front of it, almost touching it, is a Micro Galaxy Squadron AT-AT. Okay. There's a 1/6 scale Yoda or Baby Grogu in the foreground, not pictured in this part, but so that is the HasLab TVC Mandalorian. Crammed a wire straight up his backside, as I've been known to do, and that is a practical cotton explosion that I stuck. There's a loom cube in it, and then there's a wire that goes through Mando, through the explosion, and then into there. If you're familiar with that vehicle that opens, there's hatches on it. There's a little notch for you to put your finger into, and I crammed the wire in there and then put a clip on it. So it's all held on to the AT-AT with this one wire. And so the photo is practical except for the additional explosion on the edges with the and then the fire kind of coming off of him. But I mean, it's a simple edit. It's a couple of PNG overlays, and I just wiped out the wire that's crammed up his backpack.
His thrusters.
Yeah. But it's a balancing act, because once you see it in the camera, it's like, all right, I got to put this little rock outcropping on a box so that you can actually see it. And then I got to put a toothpick to prop up Grogu so that he doesn't fall over. And it's like, and then you give it a little Dutch angle so it looks like he's kind of shooting off at a better angle on the camera. And you just play with it. And that's where the enjoyment comes from. And that's why it's rewarding, because this idea I didn't get right away. I couldn't figure out how to compose it in a way where Mandalorian wasn't at one end of the photo and the AT-AT was at the other. So I wanted the Mandalorian to sort of be in the middle of the photo. So I walked away from it. I went and did something in the house, and then came back to it and moved to the camera. And the backdrop again is from Amazon. It's a 5x7 blue sky background, which I've used all the time.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
And then for the Valaverse, the black, freaking awesome figure. So Zolocon exclusive that Bobby announced.
Mm-hmm.
So there's aquarium rocks in the background. And the sand is from Bethany Beach in Delaware. I brought it home from vacation.
Nice.
And the coins are air dry clay that I rolled out, and I took a McDonald's straw and I punched out 1,200 effing coins. And when they dried, I painted them. And then I filled up all of these chests with the coins that I made. The tables from Duarte Studios.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course the Carver Custom sconces in the background there. So it's all just about angle, showcasing the figure and using the props to kind of demonstrate him. I wanted to try to make a pirate treasure cove or cave.
The coin thing is brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. I might have to.
It's easy money. It's so easy. You punch them out. So once you roll it out as thin as you can, and you punch them all out with the straw, you kind of let it dry a little bit so that you can kind of peel it off, and then you're just left with the coins. And then once I had the gray clay coins, and they were pretty solid at that point. They had little jaggy edges on them, so I just kind of stirred them a little bit, almost like a rock polisher, and it kind of brushed off. It kind of broke off the rough bits on the ends, and then I just laid them out and sprayed the crap out of them. And then I had to flip each one and then spray the back side of it.
1,200 flips. Good grief.
Yeah. Like, oh. But I wanted to. So
have a pirate project. I might have to make a present with that.
So this was the first photograph I'd ever done for Bobby where I got to take the figure home.
Wow.
So I wanted to really make sure that I demonstrated that the outcome that I get at home is going to be different from what I get in his studio. So
gotcha.
I wanted to, I was kind of like, it was a demonstration. I wanted to, because I would prefer to give him the best outcomes that I could give him from my home studio.
Okay.
This was my resume builder for that.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like the open invite to say, if you really want photos like this, Bobby, I got pizza and beer. Bring your stuff up, and we'll go to work.
Yeah. Definitely. Or he just
let me borrow it for proper time as opposed to 8 to 5. Let me just do my thing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So
now, the reason I also have this is kind of twofold. It's twofold, and this hopefully won't get too I guess excitable. But the reason I asked about this is because of something you had said earlier in regards to like you can't save a bad photo, but people utilizing, like myself, I have Lightroom, I have Photoshop. When I take something, I do try to like clean up what I can. Is there a balance for that? Because I know there's a very large discussion right now about AI tools and taking photography.
Yeah.
Are things like, how do I want to say it? Is there a balance for using things like Photoshop and stuff in regards to like manipulating the image versus things like, say I take something in a 1-for-1 and I want to make it a little larger. So if I crop it wider and use generative fill, is that breaking your belief of that? It is a tool within the program.
Yeah, I mean, so that example that you used, isn't egregious to me.
Okay.
I will say that I almost never crop my photos. I get them in camera, and the aspect ratio that I get is what I want. And it comes down, I plan it in advance, and I'm prepared for it. But I'm gonna, since you picked the scab, I'm gonna talk about AI.
And that's fine. That's what I want to hear.
I don't think so. AI as for cancer detection, fucking love that. If it can spot a tumor 5 years before a doctor can, I love AI. For creative endeavors where AI is basically scraping and stealing and ingesting art from across the landscape and regurgitating it into your photo, I don't like that.
Okay.
Now, in toy photography, what has started to happen is that people are using it to be intentionally deceptive about whether or not it's a photograph that they took rather than an image that was generated.
Okay.
Some people have gone from taking mediocre photos, probably having more fun than they are using AI, but there's more likes and comments. So it's that brass ring, that they're skipping ahead and running across the finish line, but it's largely hollow. And the argument that AI is just a tool and just like Photoshop is disingenuous, and it's wrong. Every decision I make in Lightroom and Photoshop is done with purpose and intention. I'm directly responsible for the outcome, and I can claim it as my own work when it's done. If I were to commission a painting from an artist and I gave them very explicit instructions on what I wanted that painting to look like, when they're done with it, I can't claim it as my own. And that's what you do when you give your creativity over to those AI machines. The outcomes are not yours to claim. They're based on somebody else's artwork. The data center should get credit for it.
Okay. I understand that completely. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I think there was some conspiracy or controversy with some toy brands when they provided some promo images that definitely.
Hasbro with their 6-fingered retro card figures.
That is a great example. I was thinking of the what was it? The Big Bad was it Big Bad Workshop, or was it someone else that had some promo images that definitely looked a little mismatched, so to speak?
And see, that's taking away a job from an actual artist. And the algorithm is regurgitating somebody else's artwork. you know, it's in that it's coalesced and repurposed for whatever prompt was put into it. It's it's a hobby where you're supposed to kind of grow and develop and unlock skills, and that's where the fulfillment and the enjoyment comes from. I've struggled mightily and continue to struggle with things that I still don't know, that I ask Tom and Trevor and others about. But that's part of what makes it a great community too, is I can ask those questions and they can give me the answers, and then I can go and try them on my own. And it's, again, I want to be fulfilled in the work that I do and my personal work. I don't give a whatever the professional stuff is I do. I'm talking more about my personal stuff. So that's, you know, I just don't think that it's, and again, people are doing it for the wrong reasons. They're doing it because they want to win a toy pick community contest. Who gives a shit? You didn't win it. The data center in Louisiana won that contest because you typed in the sentence and it spit out a picture of Ash with an AI figure wrapped around his leg. Shut up. So it's bullshit. It's bullshit.
Now, and I think another thing that at least I know I do, because I tried using my wife's old Canon 70D, and I'm still playing around with that. But most of the photography I take is from my Samsung phone that I'm talking to right now.
Nice.
Now, a lot of that, again, it kind of just, if you don't want to do like pro mode, a lot of people, you know, they take the shot with the phone, and it does some of that automatic. It does the auto focusing and everything else, makes it a lot easier to just go. Now, I mean, if that's how someone starts out, like myself, it is very hard to get off of that crutch, especially if you start looking at things like Instagram, where like, hey, you can add this filter and it makes it, you know, sepia or something like that.
There's a distinction between an intentional decision to use a sepia filter or autofocus versus giving the entire image over to a program and it spits out, you know, you take a picture of the Gamerverse juggernaut running down the street, and then it spits out, you know, take a picture of it in your hand and it spits out a picture of a polished juggernaut running down the street with all of these cool explosions and purple lights. Give me a break. You didn't do that. You didn't do it. You know, the computer did it.
Also, the juggernaut won't pose that way.
Right. So, but taking that example there, if I take that picture of Juggernaut and I put in the Photoshop and I use overlays, or if I, again, using the tools available to color correct, clarity, things like that, grain to kind of make it all match up.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, again, it might be using it as a tool, but it's, as you said, it's an intentional idea of how you envision it.
Yeah, and it's
So,
and if you and I took the same photo and we both edited it in Photoshop and we made intentional decisions based on our own tastes and our own creative, whatever you want to say, it's going to look vastly different, even if we work from the same raw photo.
Yeah,
because we're going to make different decisions based on our preferences, and that's what makes it unique to our voice. All of these AI slop shit toy images are the same. They all look the same. I saw somebody post a picture. It had snow serpents in it, classified snow serpents, and the AI added pins.
That's funny.
It's like, you suck. You suck. Well, whatever.
That's funny.
So then, final question on this before we move on, though. There are those within the toy photography, I don't want to use the word community, but the one that use this as a hobby, that are somewhat critical of others for even using Photoshop or Lightroom. They're like, if you can't get the raw image exactly as you want, then it's not. It's you're still cheating. How do you feel with
so
that?
much more respect for that, and even in hand photographers. I love in hand photographers. I will watch Lethal Collector all day. He is incredible, and I'm inspired by him to do an imaginative toy photo with his poses in mind. He's so talented. And for ACBA, what they achieve with their specific style is kind of really the fundamental when you really boil down with toy photography what it is. It's got to be about the toys, and that's what ACBA is.
That's how I got into it all. It was back in the 2011, I came across them, and it just, also I'm looking at the photos I'm taking. I'm like, I need to get better. I want to get better. It inspired me to get better.
Yeah.
Especially you look at that early era of those early, the 20 teens of that era of photography. I'm sorry, anyone who was getting into the toy game at that time had to have been watching videos from those people. Early D Amazing, all that kind of stuff. It just really, it built those fundamentals. Not only whether it be looking at a still photo of a black with a white background, or positioning, storytelling. At that time, the community was critical but helpful. The risks need to be positioned right. That's how someone would be looking down the sights. You want to have, as you said, telling that story. I mean, right here, this gorgeous photo of Roadblock. Where is he looking? It looks like he's looking at somebody who's his next victim is. How the positioning of all that is. That's era is how I learned how to do that. God dang, that's a good picture.
I love that figure. That figure is so awesome.
It is really cool.
It's great. I love it. Anyway, I love the Mezco Joe stuff.
And they're done. I guess they're done. I haven't seen a new Mezco Joe announced. I don't know when.
I know, it's heartbreaking.
They should have given us a freaking Cobra Commander.
I know.
I still got to grab Duke. But I chose this one because another thing that you were talking about with your approach is that practicality is what it is, and you have also have a really wonderful skill set of creating dioramas. And I wish Mariana was still on here because we're going to showcase a little behind the scenes video that you posted about Castle Grayskull. But I love the approach in this because looking at this, it's very simple, and I say that in the most the best way that I can say is appreciative of it.
There's my Kmart lamp with the orange rim light.
But it's again, it's one of those things where I like to say it seems it's not that you make it look easy. It is something that can be easily done. It's just practicing how it's going to look, looking ahead on how the finished product's going to look.
And knowing what I can achieve in post. Again, I'm not good at compositing. I'm not good at and skill set aside, my brain cannot take a figure on a blank background or other elements photographed at different times and combine them. I just can't. I just am not. Just not how I operate.
I'm with you on that. Here's my photo. Here's my stuff. That's the shot.
Because I'm playing. Part of it is I'm playing, and I know maybe that's not how we want to frame it, but I'm doing this so that I can play with my toys. I'm doing this so that I can enjoy them in a way that's fulfilling to me. And part of that is being in the environment. My wife will often say when she looks in the garage, you set up this elaborate thing and you're only photographing this much of it. Like, yeah, because I'm playing with my toy. I mean, that's a big part of it. and sometimes I'll move the camera into a different part of the set. So it's that.
No, I totally get that. And that showcases here again with these two photos. One we saw already with Skeletor, but also the legendary barbarian. Just a killer shot. And I know looking in the comments, a lot of people are saying, like, well, you know, where did you find that image? But what I like to say is you made your own Castle Grayskull.
Jesus.
It took me like 3 months. I don't know what I was thinking.
So that is all carved by you, I'm assuming. And then, like, is the skull something that you made as well, or did you find that, say, like at Hobby Lobby, and then just, you know,
there should be. I mean, you don't have to scroll and look for it, but there should be a video. I sculpted the skull and helmet out of air dry clay.
Oh, okay.
There's tinfoil underneath so that it had some rigidity at first. And then I laid the clay over the top of it so that I could get the texture that I wanted. And I watched a couple of videos on how to add texture to, Agent Variant's here, my buddy.
Hey, Agent. Welcome on board. Thank you for checking in and talking in the chat, man.
One of my absolute favorite people. I don't know. I got the idea. It started with the skull. I thought I could sculpt the skull. I thought it would be fun. I wanted to make something for the 40th anniversary Masterverse He-Man that I had. So I thought I would make a Castle Grayskull. The pillars on either side are tubes for pouring concrete. And then the rest of it's just foam. I cut out each individual brick and just glued
I was going to ask if that was just thin XPF, and then you just folded it around, but that's actual individual stones you carved out and put onto these tubes.
Yeah, I made 1,200 coins. I'm not really surprised here.
I know.
Wow. I didn't really. It's one of those things where you kind of paint yourself into a corner.
Yeah,
and I didn't know how I was going to do it. I knew that I wanted to do it, and so I grabbed a half inch thick sheet, and I drew the stone pattern on it, and then I used Proxon and an X-Acto to cut them all out. And then even the half-inch stones were too thick, so I ended up cutting all of them in half, and then kind of sanding them. And then so it kind of helped. It definitely helped. And then I just glued them all on. I did a little bit of the interior. I did a little bit of each side also. I did the more of the, if you're looking at it, the right side down there. It was just a labor of love. You know, He-Man was kind of the first property I was really obsessed with outside of Star Wars. It's the only, as I've said to my wife, when I turn 50, I want to have as a joke, I wanted to have a Masters of the Universe themed party, because I had the only other themed birthday party I ever had was Masters of the Universe when I was like 5.
Well, let us send you a link to BBTS so you can get an 8-foot inflatable Castle Grayskull to put in front of your house.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. That's incredible. I love that it's got cheeks on the other side of it too.
I got it. Then I got to ask. Then, you excited? Did that trailer excite you?
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, He-Man is the weirdest effing property on Earth. If you just rewatch the Filmation, if you watch the Filmation stuff, it's fucking weird. I mean. Queen Marlena was like an astronaut who ended up on Eternia and ended up marrying King Randor. I mean, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah, I still say I am so ticked off that they excluded such an important character from that trailer.
Orko?
No, Merman. Who fuck Orko?
Oh. You are all about Merman, dude. So then I know
everyone talks about Orko. That's why I'm saying it that way. You know.
The background behind the legendary barbarian, is that another print that you had purchased, or is that okay?
Yeah, I got it on Amazon. I had to iron the goddamn thing because it was so freaking wrinkled.
How do you not make those prints shiny? I mean, are they cloth prints, or
they're not shiny at all. They're matte finish. They look they're camera ready. They're photo backdrops. I mean, I'm buying them as photo backdrops.
Okay.
They're like $12 a piece for a 5x7. They're like nothing.
What
say-
asking for a friend? Asking for a friend. What do I look up on Amazon?
You just type in photo backdrop. You can also add like a third descriptive word like fantasy backdrop or science fiction backdrop.
Yeah.
And
Okay, asking for a friend.
yeah, I mean it's Kill Cutter. My buddy Chuck just started using them too because they're just. So I don't have a screen to do Digirama stuff. So I use a local print shop to print like on a plotter, like large paper ones sometimes,
Right.
which I've used. Conan and Predator Shot was a paper one I've used a number of times. I get them done. They're 40 by 60. I tape them to a large piece of cardboard and I prop them up behind the figure. But for these printed backdrops, I have a cheap but effective scaffolding that I got on Amazon that I just clip them to. And it's nice because I can back up and get the whole
PVC pipe.
Yeah, I mean anything works. I mean it doesn't have to be sophisticated, you know.
I literally made that out of PVC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I have a little 27-inch screen that I sit here in the workshop, and I purchased some Adobe stock like backgrounds if it's just a simple like desert scene, and I can use that for my Action Force, Vanguard that I put across or something. Nice. So
I don't have a polarizer for shooting against a screen, so
I was going to ask that.
I don't think without that it's tough to get a good result. So I stick with the printed stuff, or again, I just like being able, and I like the reliability of something that I've hung there that's going to stay. It's never going to turn off. It's never going to get unplugged. It's just there. Sometimes it's out of focus, so you can't even really see it. So yeah.
Oh, we kind of not breached. God, you can tell it's getting late. We've talked about this before, but getting your editing approach is that, you have your vision, you set up your shot, how you want to have it. And then, like you said, there was, you go into Lightroom for initial pass. It looks, I guess, these three images, I guess I'm going to turn this back over to Dave because he picked these out. I asked for like some of his ones that he want to ask questions on. So I'm going to shut up for once and let Dave take over here.
I mean, these were some of my favorite characters. Again, I'm also a huge Mortal Kombat fan. I am a Turtle fan. Some of the photos that I was really, just in general, that drew my eye were some of the photos that you used with Storm, but also McFarlane and NECA. I mean, I've seen you do things with it, make a NECA figure look like it's moving ways that I know it can't. But like for these photos here, you're editing, like it's talking about the editing approach, like the flames you got coming from the windows on there. Yeah. The flames you got going on Scorpion on that one, or the depth that you put for that turtle scene. I mean, that you've got Casey back there slightly out of, I mean, I don't know, did you layer that and had it focused, or did you actually take a photo of Casey and then you also took a photo of Ralph and layered those on there?
No, most of my photos are one exposure.
Yeah.
There's a couple where I will, like if I do a spaceship, like a ship shot, I'll shoot the background plate separate. I'll shoot it one exposure with the ship in the background, then I'll shoot a shot of just the background, because a lot of times I will add like a blur on the ground, and I don't want the ship to be affected by the blur, because I want the ship to be fully in focus because the camera's moving at the same speed as the ship.
Gotcha.
So yeah, they're usually one exposure, but one of the things that's you have to plan out what your effects are going to look like in post while you're shooting. So like I have on the other side in the Scorpion shot, I kind of shoot this environment somewhat similarly each time. I I have my trusty orange Govee bulb on the other side of the windows, kind of shooting some gobo, like some light rays through the windows with I have a Halloween little like smoke fogger machine thingy that I got on Amazon.
Mhm.
So that kind of so that it already has to be orange. There already has to be orange rim light. So then when I add some subtle flame stuff, it's just I'm trying not the different results sometimes, but I'm trying not to be heavy-handed. I absolutely hate the flame on Scorpion's shoulder in this photo. I hate it. I hate it. If I could,
I get why you're saying that now that you
I
if you
hate it.
hadn't pointed it out, but
In my Photoshop file, that flame is gone. That the photo looks different now. It's just not. It's not there anymore. So
I'm just saying, I know exactly what you were talking about. It's just
continuous improvement, right?
And again, actually, I got the fogger as well. I picked that up at a pawn shop.
Yeah,
So.
it's great. I use occasionally cans of atmosphere aerosol too. But I'm gonna be honest, it's expensive. $30 for 2 cans. I've had the same jug of fog juice for 4 years. So
and do you ever walk up and your wife's like, have you been vaping or photographing?
Yeah.
Well, and it leaves a film on everything.
Yes, it does. But
I use mine sparingly, but when it does, it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
One
so
thing
I
I
just
forgot
try to be intentional about it. I didn't want Casey and the turtle shot to be. I wanted the focus to be on the shoulder throw, and I wanted Casey to be there because he was part of the 2-pack, and when Raph is out in that costume, they're kind of together. I wanted to make sure he was in it, and he kind of helps fill the negative space back there.
Oh, absolutely. And again, it's building the story of that photo.
Yeah.
I have I don't know why, but I ended up developing a slight Casey Jones obsession in the last couple of years. I've got more of all the TMNT stuff I have. I think I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I got at least 4 or 5 Casey Joneses right now.
Wow.
Including the the new NECA one on pre-order, which I told myself I was going to buy anymore. Not NECA, Mezco's, that red shirt one.
So, it real quick off the top of your head, is there ever been a photo where the figure just pissed you off? Whether it was you couldn't get the pose to stay, like you were saying earlier, the Predator was spinning around with the stick up his butt. Is there another photo where you're like, I tried to take this shot, and by God, I wanted to throw the toy after it was done?
And was it a McFarlane?
I only shoot McFarlane mega figures because everything else.
That Killer Croc was a good Killer Croc.
The Killer Croc is great. The Doomsday is great. The
Violator
Snyder's Justice League is great. Darkseid is good, and the Violator.
Yeah, I would say the picture of Spawn with Violator was really nice.
Yeah.
Oh, now you know we're famous.
Oh,
hey, LP.
LP, what's up? It's I like that I don't like I don't like the other McFarlane figures. I just don't. They fucking suck.
Understandable. Completely understandable. So we're coming close to our time here. Actually, we're a little bit over, but I just want to say, we kind of took some of the questions as we went along, and I appreciate your open, candid answers to everything for this. And I love this shot with both of these. Is this both maximum figures, or is that the
that's
80th?
the 80th anniversary Marvel Legends Hulk? Yeah. Well,
Dave and I are gluttons for punishment somewhat, so we want to see if you would give us your honest take on some pictures that we both chose.
Okay.
So here's our photo critique. So we'll start off here with Dave. Dave, you want to describe this photo?
It's my Mezco Crow. I just kind of had him literally wading through destruction. You know, that's a diorama that I had built back there. I was using a combination of LED lights off to the side and above to give that soft glow. You know, using the color filters. I was trying to give a look and motion for him as he wades through the fire. There is no Photoshop on that at all. That's all practical.
Okay. The first thing that I think of, and to answer LP's question, I did make the painting for the Joker shot with like a splotch of paint and an air compressor to make it go boom.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's hanging. The little painting is hanging in my garage still.
I'm gonna remember that.
It worked great. It fucking worked great. I got it. I had to do it twice. Got it on the second try. Anyway, the first thing that I would say, like, so one of the things that I've worked on, because I'm very critical of it myself, is the posing. I think, and it looks to me like his torso was more in focus than his face. And what I like the blue mixed with the red and the orange. Those are two of my favorite color combinations. And I think that you did a great job with the practical lighting elements. Those are not easy flames to light. They're like, either they're fucking overpowered or you can't see them. I think you did strike a good balance. I would probably have, like, so the only way I can critique it is to tell you kind of how I would shoot it if I were given the same situation. I probably would have maybe moved the camera a little bit lower and shot up at him a little bit more so that you could see him kind of wading through the flames, so that you can see kind of more of the flames taking over. Okay. And his hand is kind of cropped out of the photo.
That was Instagram.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I probably would have just made some different posing choices, but I love the colors. I like the fact that you got the crow on his shoulder, and that he's kept born a fire coming out of the fire, and the practical flame effects, I think,
cool,
are strong.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right. So this is one that I took of the Operation Monster Force donor party. I took this immediately after I got the figure in from the post office. So what you have here is, again, he was at my desk. So this is, the background is from my computer monitor. I had the exclusive for the Lieutenant Griffin, where he was purple, and I just kind of put him in the foreground, out of focus, and really wanted to kind of put the detail in on the donor party's face. I basically had my light, the backlight is basically the monitor, and then I had the window at my office open just a little bit. Nice. Now this did go through Lightroom. I did sharpen it. I added a little more grain to kind of help take away the starkness of the background. And then I did a little bit of a Gaussian blur on the eye.
Oh, okay. So, I like the balance between the Monster Force figure, that main figure in the background. They look like they're occupying kind of the same environment and atmosphere. And I've taken a number of photos myself where there's the figure in the foreground is kind of out of focus. And you can tell that the main character is locked in on that figure. My own personal suggestion would be, I probably would have wanted to see more of the main figure and not have him blocked by the figure in the foreground. Like if you even just to reposition that arm so I could see more of that shoulder. I don't know. For me personally, I want to see as much of that main figure as possible. But I think that the way that it's blended into the background, and is that figure in the foreground, is it translucent?
Yes.
Yeah, he looks like he is also occupying the same space. I do think it's blended well. And I like the background choice. And the crop is good. I've certainly done some because he's a little bit like more in the foreground, so there's more of him like out of frame in the front. I like that because it kind of carries you through the photo. My one suggestion, I would probably have repositioned that arm so that it's not kind of distracting my focus as I work through the photo.
Okay. All right. Now, yes. Never mind. I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that.
My pleasure.
That's our photos, and kind of bringing us up to the time here. So again, thank you, Sean, for sitting down with us tonight and talking about your art and how you achieve these amazing photos. Again,
thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, and again, Instagram is your main avenue for seeing your art. Is there any other way that people can consume your content?
Yeah, I have an OnlyFans page, so you can watch me with various fruits and vegetables. No, just Instagram. Yeah.
No midgets.
Whatever works.
Only dwarves, and that's only when he's shooting Mythic Legions. Sean, appreciate your insights. We appreciate your history, your approach on things, and again, just thank you for taking your time. We know it's precious, and
my pleasure. I had a great time. It's been a while since I got to really chop it up. So I mean, again, as I mentioned, I love when I get messages and people do have questions. I mean, I'll tell you anything. Anything about the process, anything that I've unlocked is I'm more than willing to share, because it's not knowledge that I can own. It's knowledge that I gained through talking to others. So no reason not to pay it forward.
No gatekeeping.
No.
Awesome.
No.
Well, thank you once again, everyone that has joined us here in the chat and also on the replay squad. We really do appreciate it. And if you like these type of shows, show us some love, like this video, share it out. And if we bring your subscription, we greatly appreciate it. Like I said, we're trying to get to 1,000, and it's giving us opportunities to have experiences like this. So thank you guys for watching. Sean, once again, thank you. Hopefully the weather doesn't continue to turn south and we start seeing a change in it here for us.
Get it out of the south. Get it out of the south. Okay, I just crossed it. My driveway is clear.
There you go. You want to get your toys in,
yes,
Dave.
God damn it.
All right. Well, with that, I guess we'll close out here. Again, this Thursday we'll be back for a regular show. Until then, guys, thank you for watching and enjoy your collections. Bye.